Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm Nikki McCutchen. I will be your host this evening. We are so excited you're here to spend 30 minutes out of your Monday evening with us. Thank you for deciding to join us tonight to learn about this amazing technology. We always like to start with our medical disclaimer. All of the technology we will discuss are not intended to treat, cure, diagnose, or prevent any dis-ease. If you are pregnant or nursing or have medical conditions, just like with embarking on any diet or exercise program, we always recommend that you check with your preferred healthcare practitioner first. And with that, we are going to start talking about this amazing technology. I like to start tonight. I think what I'm going to do is let's just talk about the peptide world. Like there's all this craze, like there's all this stuff going on. It's a total buzzword, all the peptide therapies and all the injections that are out there. And so I just want to kind of address one in particular, GHK copper peptide. So we actually have that in our body. We have human GHK copper peptide in our body currently. And if it wasn't working, we would be dead. So we have lots of those things in our body. If it wasn't working, we would be dead. So vitamin D, glutathione, there's lots of things. So, but it could be declining. Most of these things are declining as we age. So we do have GHK copper peptide working in our bodies on our behalf on a daily basis. But there is also a peptide therapy that's an injection or a topical cream known as GHK copper peptide. So for an injectable, what they would do is they would use it in a joint, usually, to help with pain, to try to mitigate that pain of whatever's going on with the joint. Now, it's one of those things too where you have no idea if it's going to, work for you or not. And I don't know. I think they run about, it's $150 or more. Is it a shot or a month? I can't remember the last time I looked at it. I should have looked at that before I decided to dive in and start talking about it again tonight. But anyway, so these injections are going to cost a good little chunk of money. A lot of people will look into them sometimes and decide, well, they don't want to, spend that much money. And like I said, they don't always work. I have talked to recently several people who have considered using BPC 157. That is another peptide, and they use it for pain. And that can be an injection. There's also a supplement form of that. The supplement form is more for digestive issues, but the injection is usually used for ligaments and tendons and all those sorts of things. So it's just interesting to me because I feel like the market, and I'm not sure, it could also be that the testing on GHK copper peptide, like when you actually look at the research, so if you type in GHK copper peptide into a Google search or you go to PubMed, there's like 13 pages on GHK copper peptide because they found it in the body over 50 years ago. So there's 50 years of research on what GHK copper peptide does in the body, but the main industry was more about hair, skin, and nails. And so it makes me wonder if when they're with something that they're doing with the injection, if it, and it's promoted as like hair, skin, and nails, even sometimes with most of the time with the injection, whereas the BPC 157 is promoted as like for joint, try to recover joints. So it's interesting because that's how it's promoted. But when you actually look at the research, it basically supports over 80 different mechanisms across the body of helping support our body so we don't have, all kinds of different things. So that's what's really remarkable about GHKCU, but that's not how in any of the peptide world it's actually promoted. So I don't know if the injection actually can do what your own body's GHK copper peptide can do anyway, which the reality is ultimately it can't because our body uses it completely differently. So if we were to use an injection of any type of amino acids, what happens is, so those are 3 different amino acids, glycine, histidine, and lysine. So they are bound to copper, and then copper transports them around the body. okay, and delivers them where they need to go. But if it's not your own human GHK copper peptide, then the body actually breaks those down. Okay, so it pulls them apart and then it uses them however it wants to use them. So that's why they really can't tell you 100% whether this is going to help, or even like with the injection of VPC 157, I've talked to several people who those injections aren't even working for them. So it's because your body is going to break it down. The way that it's made, it's not, your body uses it completely differently. So can it work for the joint? Sure, it can. It could potentially help the joint, but it's also why when people don't get results, that's why, because your body decides to break it down and then use that amino acid however it wants to. Whereas when you're talking about your own body's GHK copper peptide, it is going to work like that. So when you actually look at the research, you have support across your body. It's why it's considered the fountain of youth type of peptide, but also I think why the injections aren't promoted that way, because it can't do what your own human GHK copper peptide can do. So anyway, that's just a little breakdown of, a couple of peptides overall. And when we're addressing those in the body and how those look, and when you look at what's on the market today and how spas and doctors are using those. So let's just dive into a little bit about our technology and how that works. So this amazing little tiny patch is regulated by the FDA as a general wellness product only. Okay, so it's a class 1 medical device. It's completely non-transdermal. So it's sealed with medical grade plastic on both sides. So people can wear it even on their clothes, and it's actually going to still work, even if it's on your clothes as well. So that's what's amazing about this technology. So how is it actually doing that? So again, non-transdermal. So there's nothing that goes into the skin. It's why I don't have to wear it on my skin, because nothing has to go into my skin. All right. So let me just give you a little bit more background before I tackle the how. It is hypoallergenic adhesive. It has a 96% effectiveness rate. Okay, so we talked a little bit before about some injections and why they can't tell you how effective it's going to be, because they don't know how your body's going to break that down. This is like a light switch. If you turn on that light switch and everything's connected right in your house, the electricity is going to come on. So if you place this close to your body, within 4 inches of your body, it is going to act like that light switch that turns on GHK copper peptide. I was actually talking to a gal the other day, and she had the patches in her purse. And she puts them on her son. She doesn't wear them herself. And just, for finance's sake, her son has a very serious condition. And so she was wanting to, use all of them on him before she started using them, herself at some point down the road. Well, she had them in her purse. Well, so I was explaining how this works and how it doesn't have to actually be on your skin, because it's all through your own body's heat. That infrared light that we put off is actually a heat. Like, you can feel that. If you sit next to someone and they feel warm, you're like, oh, or you're cold. So you're like trying to get closer, to them, because you want to warm up a little bit, because it's that heat, that's infrared light that's creating that heat. So she was like, oh my goodness. She's like, so could they be activated while they're in my purse? And I was like, 100%. Because she's like, I actually have noticed that, like, lately I have been I just feel better. Like, I feel better in general. It's like, yes, they're in your purse. You have your purse next to your body, 100%. Does not have to be on the body. That's what's so amazing about this technology, is that it doesn't have to be on the body. So like with her son, I was telling her, or like some of us were talking about our kids, even our adult children in their 20s who complain about the patch or their skin or whatever, like they can put it on the outside of their clothes, or they can put it on the inside of their clothes. So a lot of times when I'm dealing with children, I'll tell the parents, if they want to use this technology, we cannot tell them to use it on their child, because there's no clinical test for that. But you as a parent can decide if you think this is going to be beneficial for your child and you want to try it. Again, nothing's going into the body. There's no contraindications with any types of medications. So that's also amazing. It's just turning on the light switch that tells a GHK in your body to do what it was already designed to do. So just put it on the inside of the back of their clothes, and just have them wear it on the inside of their clothes. Or even like he's young, he's like 5 and he's still in diapers. And so I was telling her, well, and he takes all his clothes off when he's at home. And so I was like, well, just take it off the clothes, use some KT tape and tape it on the inside of the diaper, or even the outside of the diaper. And then when you have to change the diaper, get another piece of tape and reattach it so that he can wear it all day long. He can have that all day long. So anyway, completely non-transdermal. There's nothing going into the body. It works through your own body's light and heat that are activating the center of that patch. Now it's teeny tiny, so stereoisomers made in a crystal lattice structure that's similar to a mirror. So when our light hits that center of that patch, it gets reflected back into our body, turning on GHK copper peptide across the board in our body so that it will go and do all the things that it was designed to do. So that's what's really cool about this. So it's going back into the body, again, just turning on that light switch when we put that patch on. So 96% effectiveness rate. Now, because we have an amazing inventor and founder in David Schmidt, 96% is not 100. So how do we get to 100? So he developed this amazing supplement, our Celergize Morning. This just won last year. These two in combination, the X39 patch along with the Celergize Morning, won the Stem Cell Innovation of the Year award. Why? Because now it turns on GHK copper peptide at 100%. So this has amino acids, a lot of things that people are deficient in that will cause this to not, for your body to struggle more to get it to up and running optimally in your body. So this gives you what you need. So electrolytes, so magnesium, potassium, in a balanced way, zinc and copper balanced, and then amino acids. So helping with anything that may cause you not to get as much ability to use out of this patch as you can for that GHK to go and do what it needs to do across the board. So now with these two, we have 100% effectiveness rate with turning on GHK. The other cool thing is that this has sea buckthorn extract in it, which supports stem cells across the body. So allowing those stem cells to work the way that they've designed, to not break down, to operate in a balanced way in the body, which is what's truly amazing as well. So this combination is truly fantastic. You don't have to have this because, again, like I said, you have a 96% effectiveness rate. There, you can buy everything that's in here in individual things out there on the market. Okay. To do that, it would cost probably like $250 when I priced it out before to get the electrolytes, the amino acids, the sea buckthorn extract, and some of the other things. Whereas, again, there's no other product on the market like this that's combined in this way. So completely novel, brand new product on the market, combination in this way that you can get for as little as $50 a can. So get back to the person who invited the call if you want to know more about that. But just so you know, don't have to have this to have this, but many of us are taking part and wanting to make sure that our patches are completely optimized in every way. And I was already taking electrolytes and amino acids and all those things anyway. So I was not taking any type of sea buckthorn. So of course I love that. I love that it has copper zinc balance because a lot of times people are adding in zinc, but they don't realize that they actually have to have that balanced with copper in the body and vice versa. So this already has it in that balanced form for us so that our bodies are not getting out of balance, which is really nice. A lot of people do have imbalances with that zinc copper ratio. So, okay, patented technology. If you go to embraceoptimalhealth.com, that is my website. All of the information is there. We have over 200 patents. We have over 90 clinical studies. If you want to dive deep into the science, it's all there for you to look at. There is literally no other technology in the world that does what X39 does. And that's what makes this so amazing. There's literally no competition on the market. I've told you a few things that potentially could be classified as competition, but when you're looking at what it is actually doing, it's not the same. You're comparing apples to oranges. It's not apples to apples. So it's not like if I had a multivitamin mineral supplement from one company and then a multivitamin mineral supplement from another company, where you're comparing, apples to apples. That's not this when you're looking at this compared to some type of injection. So Truly remarkable. So, if I didn't explain well enough how this works, I'm going to give you another visual. When you are watching a movie and they're looking through night vision goggles and they see that heat signature, they're talking about seeing the people or the animals, and you see all those different colors that are on there, they're talking about, they're calling that a heat signature. Scientifically, and with those colors, you know that's actually low grade infrared light. They're just not explaining it that way. So that's what we're talking about that's hitting the center of this patch. So where do you wear this? We do have clinically tested spots, and you can wear those on the spots. Your booklet will tell you where those are. But if you have any type of issue, inflammation in any type of area that's bothersome to you, you can just place the patch right on that spot. So I have people all the time who are like, well, I'm looking at the booklets, Nikki, and you told me to place it on my area where I have this issue, but that's not in the book. No, it's not in the book. The reason it's not in the book is because this company has been around for over 20 years. So we know just based on 20 years of, millions of people using this technology that you don't have to place it on the spot to get GHK up and running in your body and doing what it was designed to do anyway. So you can place it on that area. The cool thing is that if you have inflammation in that area, when it is reflecting that light from that spot, any type of inflammation in the body is stagnation. So there's a block. There is inability for communication to happen from the brain to that part of the body, or from the organs, or whatever, the nervous system, whatever that has to move through that body, that part of the body to do what it needs to do. Okay, there's stagnation. When you create that reflection at that spot, it causes that stagnation to now move. Okay. That light that's being reflected now is communicating back into the body, which then helps reduce inflammation at the site. So it's why people can get some relief at their spot that's troublesome to them when that stagnation is now moving. It's not stagnant anymore. Things are moving in there. And so that can make a huge difference for people, sometimes right away. Now, here's the other thing. Maybe not always right away, but because we have a 96% effectiveness rate, we know that the technology is always working in your body. But here's the cool thing that we should be so excited about is that your body is deciding. Your body is deciding where to send GHK, where that it needs to do repair, restoration, rejuvenation, whatever it is, your body decides. So this may be your problem spot is your shoulder, and you want it to work here right now because this is driving you crazy. Well, you may not feel that you have an issue in your liver or your lungs, and your body decides you need that more than you need the shoulder to get better right away. So it could start working in another area first instead. But that's the amazing thing, is that this technology was designed to support the way that we are created by God. And I love that so much. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. And our inventor and founder, David Schmidt, has studied how God has designed our bodies, and he's learned and he's figured out how to support that, to support our infinite design. What happens when you do that? You do what I've gotten to see over the last 3 years of literally crazy miracles, all kinds of things happening for people that you wouldn't expect. It's because we have a scientist who is just studying God's design and not trying to create something to thwart, to force, to have something, make something happen in man's design or what we can come up with. God's way will always be better than anything man can ever create. And so that is what I love about this, is that when you actually follow what he's given you, the blueprint that we have in our bodies, and you study creation and you study animals and you study what God has given us around us, then we have something that truly matters. And that's what we have with this technology across the board, from all of our patch technology to our amazing water technology that is now out. That's, I think it keeps selling out week after week, but get back to the person who invited you to call to talk more about that. So let's break this down. If we're talking about different things that GHK could potentially support in the body. One of those things is going to be that we've already talked about. So this combination Stem Cell of the Year award, supporting stem cells, okay, from two different angles. One turning on GHK, the other one sea buckthorn extract that supports stem cells in another way. So you've got regeneration, rejuvenation, more stem cells that are just not working properly because that's the normal aging process. So when we get those up and running again and working properly in the body, then our body can have amazing results with that. So that's one of the things that I talk to people about. The second thing is cardiovascular system. Support for your entire cardiovascular system, your heart, your blood vessels, the lining of your blood vessels. So think of all of the different things that people have going on with their cardiovascular systems that would sure be nice if there was a natural way to support that across the board and be as easy as popping on a patch every single morning when they get up in the morning, taking it off at night before they go to bed. So 12 hours on, 12 hours off. The next day I put on a brand new patch. It does not get any easier or more simple than that. That is truly remarkable. The next thing is collagen. Most people just think collagen is hair, skin, and nails. Collagen is actually the glue that holds our bodies together. So it's in the lining of all of our organs. It's our ligaments, our fascia, our tendons. It is the cartilage. Everything is supported by collagen. So it's why a lot of people, when you combine the ability to get regenerative cells up and going along with collagen, we will see across the board all kinds of things. People have, differences in their skin or different, if they have bumps or rashes or things like that, to where now those kinds of things are clearing up. Even like potentially having gut symptomology of any type, to where your gut stuff just is like, I don't know, I'm just not having the problems I was having before. It's because that collagen and regenerative support together from GHK that allows those things to happen in the body. All right, so your immune system is another one. So our immune system controls everything. Our immune system decides whether we are going to have some kind of illness, or whether we are, or whether we are going to be well, whether we just have a cold and a cough, or whether there's something more going on. So all of us want an immune system that is strong and flexible and able to deal with whatever toxicity is coming in every day. We are constantly bombarded with toxins. So that's the other thing, is a lot of times I would much prefer for someone to start on this when they are well and they have nothing going on with them, because that means that their toxic burden in their body overall has not, that cup for that toxic burden is not overflowing. Okay. And it may be this high in the jar, but it could be down here. All right. But but you're keeping it in the cup. All right. So you have more availability for when you get GHK up and running to see results quicker, or just have overall vitality and know that you're supporting your body to hopefully help that not ever overflow and help that be pushed down, for your body to be able to detoxify better, to get rid of things better. So hopefully you don't have a cup overflowing with toxicity. When you have a cup overflowing with toxicity, if you have a list of things over here, aches, pains, illness, disease on this list, your cup is overflown. It's overflowing. You have your toxic burden, your toxic load is high. So we definitely want this because we want something natural that's going to support our body naturally, that's going to help our body work the way that it was designed to do. We want that support, but it's going to take longer for this cup to stop overflowing. So this is not going to be a quick fix. This is not for actual regeneration to go on in your body. That can only take time. 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. I mean, it's crazy to me now that I've been doing this for 3 years. People that I watched on videos or that I see at conferences, 3 years ago, and I see them now, like they genuinely look younger. That blows my mind. So if you're seeing it on the outside, imagine what's going on the inside of someone's body. If you can see it on their skin, in their hair, on, their nails, whatever it might be, if you're seeing it, that's what's incredible, because our outside actually reflects our inside. That's just the way it is. If we are crumpled up on the outside, we are definitely crumpled up on the inside. So anyway, be much better to start this when you don't have a list of things going on. And if your toxic burden is overflowing, then yeah, this is going to take some time. That's just general, knowledge of health. Like, you cannot expect to put this on and have things, go right. I am a firm believer in this as a tool. And that's why I work with so many practitioners, because you want to figure out what that toxic burden load, where that's coming from, and how you can detoxify that. So to think that this is going to be the be all end all, please don't do that. Please do not do that. Wear this for overall health and vitality to support your body on a daily basis. That makes a huge difference. This makes the biggest jump I have ever seen in anything in the health industry that I have been in for 25 years. So this makes the biggest jump, okay? But please do not think this is the only thing you need to do, because your toxic burden may be completely overflowing. So I hope people will take that to heart. It's such a passion of mine for people to truly embrace optimal health. That's why my company is called that. So there are a lot of ways and a lot of things you need to do to be able to do that well. So the last thing, so we talked about 5 things: regenerative cells, cardiovascular system, collagen, immune system, and then brain support. So just feeling better, having less anxiety, less depression, less, more brain clarity. That was huge for me. The brain clarity and the energy was huge for me with this technology, very quickly, thankfully. But I've had people where it's taken, 4 months, 6 months, things like that, for some of those things to lift, because again, we don't know what their toxic burden is and where their body's going to send GHK for it to be able to be used. So those 5 things, okay, if you think about those 5 things, these are major body systems that are being supported by one tiny little technology. That's why it's making such a difference. Okay. That's why this in particular amino acid combination in our body is able to make such a difference. And when that is supported and turned on, it's because of what God already put there and what He designed it to do, so that it can help our body across the board. So I always tell people, you just need to decide you're going to wear this for 6 to 12 months so that you can go back to your doctor, you can get regular blood work done, or whatever you're doing and your regimen is with them, so that you can see changes in that blood work. You need to have measurable results, okay? I felt things very quickly. My husband, 3 years later, feels nothing. Legit feels nothing. So the only reason we know it's working in his body is because we have measurable test results to show that to be true. So that is why it's so important. And again, it has a compounding effect. The longer you use it, the more regeneration you get across the board in your body. And so that's what you want to have going on before you have a health issue. Okay. If you come here tonight and you have a health issue, no big deal. Let's get this on our body as soon as possible. And hopefully you have some other key players in there that can help your body go through a proper detoxification process, because that's the issue, is our toxic load is too much. And most people do not understand how important detoxification is. If we don't detoxify, that burden overruns us, and that's why we die. Okay, because the toxic burden is too much for our bodies to handle. So hydration is key. It is why David has developed the X2O system and the amazing water technology that we had. Please ask the person who invited you to this call tonight on a video on this amazing technology. It's the first thing that we now have that actually elevates NAD in the body. Okay, these IV injections for NAD, $400 a pop. Okay. So when you add that up, to get one of these machines in your home and have daily access to your own body's NAD, again, your own bodies, versus trying to force something to happen, okay, is truly remarkable. Energy across the board. What we're talking about is not the energy necessarily that you feel, although chances are you might, but we're talking about ATP in the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell that now is turned on and activated everywhere in your body. Hydration that penetrates every single cell in your body. How? because the bond angle on the light infused water, so it's light infused and it changes the bond angle, which allows the penetration into the cell. So we are actually getting hydration, which means we're actually getting nutrients. So many people have absorption issues with their nutrients, even hydration absorption issues. This changes that because it's light infused and what light does. This is, again, another novel product, nothing else on the market. I am sure you're going to see, like we won the Stem Cell Innovation of the Year award, I'm sure there's going to be awards coming for X2O as well. So if you start saving your pennies, whatever you need to do, get that in your home as soon as possible, because you want your body to just work properly. You want that hydration to penetrate every cell. Most people are dehydrated. This is very common, especially if you're over 50. Dehydration is very common. So let's make that change. Invest in your health. All of these things are an investment in your health. Bottom line is you are either investing in your sickness or you are investing in your health. One may be a non-conscious choice. You're investing in your sickness because you're not making any choices around your health. You're not doing anything active, but you have to understand that's still a choice. That is a choice that is leading in only one path. We live in such a heavy, toxic world that only goes one way. We know, we see it on people every single day. I'm praying for people that are sick constantly all the time. It's because that's the way that our body goes. That's the natural way that it goes. That toxic burden overtakes us. So if I'm not investing in my health, then I'm investing in my sickness. So join us, be one of those who wants to invest in their health. Start gaining knowledge, start learning things, be a part of that. So again, 6 to 12 months, just plan on this is investment in my health. I'm going to see what it does for me. And then hopefully you'll be like the rest of us and you can't help but share because you're seeing miracles. We literally see miracles all the time. We can't help but let people know about this because we love people and we care about people and we want them to know there is a simple, easy, affordable option out there to support their health every single day of their lives. So I totally went on a rampage today and am completely over time. But if anybody has a quick question, I know we have some new people on here tonight. So I always want to leave a little bit of time for questions. So I don't think there is anything in the chat for questions, but you can type those in there. You can unmute yourself real quick. I want to make sure that you guys get your questions answered. So unmute yourself. Feel free to ask a question. We'll be happy to answer it real quick. And otherwise, we want to let you get back to your Monday night. And it's really windy where I am right now, but just enjoy the amazing weather too. So if it's not super windy where you are. So
can I say welcome, Stephanie?
Absolutely.
Stephanie joined tonight.
Yes, she
welcome,
did.
Stephanie.
You learned from the best tonight, Stephanie. We'll talk later.
That's right.
Thanks, Nikki.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely get back with Diane for sure. We have all kinds of information to be able to answer any of your questions. So thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Please get back to the person who invited to the call. Yes. Yeah, Nadine too. Thank you for being on the call. We pray blessing over each and every one of you. Good night, everyone.
Excellent, Nikki. Thank you so much. Good night,
You're
everybody.
welcome.
Good night. God bless.
God bless.